Hello, Jeff Green here. I'm going to show you this one chart from a longer video that I made that shows if a renter had bought a house 10 years ago, they'd be sitting on $400,000 in equity instead of about a $200,000 loss. That's over a $500,000 difference. You need to buy a house if you're renting and the payment is the same. Watch this chart, wait till the end for more information.
Let's take a look at, and this is something I alluded to on the front slide. This is the same monthly average sales price. And I want to point out that renters should be looking at buying a home if only based on the fact that that's where most homeowners' wealth comes from. So let's take a look at these numbers. Down here, the average single family residential home, three bedrooms, 2 baths, 2,000 to 2,500 square feet, sold for $163,281. That was February of 2012. Now, even with this pullback, the average sales price sold for $531,734. So that's a giant increase over what's that, four or five times increase. So let's suppose that a renter could get into a home for about what their payment was on a rental, right? So they can come up with a 20% down, which is $32,656. That's 20% of that number 10 years ago. So it's not quite, it's a little bit more than 10 years. But the home equity of that home is now $369,376 once you subtract out the money that was borrowed to buy the loan. Now, this $369,376 home equity doesn't include mortgage pay down while you live there. So that's an important fact to remember. As you're paying rent, you got 100% loss. As you're paying a mortgage, some of that money, fairly decent size, goes to paying off the loan. So let's look at the numbers over these 10 years here. Renting the average home at $2,200 a month cost, that's today's cost. So it wasn't the cost back here. So I didn't extrapolate what that was, but let's say at $2,200 a month for 10 years, you're going to pay about $264,000 for your home, for your housing costs. So let's say the average month cost was lower back here and has risen, so it's somewhere in the middle. The average will be somewhere in the middle. So let's say it's $1,500. So let's say you only paid $200,000 over the same time. That's a significant amount of money to pay for housing, especially if the housing price is the same cost per month as rent. So what's the difference between buying and renting? So there's the $264,000, which is 100% loss. You can't claim any gain on renting because you're paying your landlord. You're paying off your landlord's mortgage. That's why I work with a lot of investors, because they see this sort of equation working off them over time. Now, if you had owned that house, you now have, like I mentioned up here, $369,376 in equity. That's 1,131% growth, or multiplying your down payment over 10 times. So look at the numbers. Your small down payment of $32,656 is now worth $369,376. So I would encourage renters to start looking at home ownership as a way to build wealth. You know, I would be the first to say I have no idea what's going to happen to this number as we go forward. But I don't think that inflation is going away. Inflation is always here. And I think home prices will continue upwards after we have a sort of a basing pattern here, and especially when interest rates drop. If the Fed lowers interest rates next year, you know, my projection is still late spring, early summer. I think prices are going to take off again. So be aware, look at the numbers, and make sure you're putting your money where you can build long-term wealth, not throw it in the trash or pay your landlord's mortgage off.